from Madison Square Garden in New York City. It's the championship of the National Invitational Tournament between the 49ers of UNCC and the Wildcats of Kentucky. Good afternoon, everyone, from New York. I'm Jim Thacker with Bob Taylor in a true Cinderella wind-up to the NIT. UNCC facing the most important game of its basketball lives here today against one of the great names of basketball past the University of Kentucky. And Bob, the 49ers continue to take Gotham by storm.
Well, they sure do, Jim, and you can tell by the reaction of the crowd who the crowd favorite is this afternoon anyway, if not the point favorite.
The governor of North Carolina, Honorable James Holshouser, is here. He's made the trip, so have many Charlotte officials and everybody from the Charlotte area who can make the trip to New York, plus a lot of alumni from the sidewalks of Manhattan. We'll be back with the starting lineups of today's game for the title in just a moment. The University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Those are the Kentucky cheerleaders, incidentally, but the 49ers here are the darlings of this tournament. There they are, 24-5. Lee Rose in his first year of head coach, taking his team against a ball club that he once idolized, the University of Kentucky, from near his home in Bluegrass Country. Wildcats have now won 19 and lost 10, but more important, they've won 9 in a row. And they have back their injured star, Rick Roby, in case he's needed for this ball game, while UNCC is going to be at a big disadvantage. There's Lee Rose right in the center of your picture as he's now working around his team, clad in green. UNCC will be without Skip Shipman, their super sub, who will not even dress out today for the game. He re-injured his ankle ligaments here, cannot play, and it's still a question how well Lou Massey will be able to perform. He has a badly sprained ankle. The UNCC pep band is here. They have a tremendous following from Charlotte for this game, and you'll hear as the game gets underway just how much of a backing the team has from New York. Bob, it's just been amazing all week.
It really has, Jim. Each game they've adopted the team a little bit more, and of course they had three very exciting ball games in the first 3 games. And I think a big question this afternoon for UNCC is, after 2 very physical games against San Francisco and Oregon, how well UNCC will be able to play against Kentucky, not having as much depth as any of the ball clubs in this tournament, and losing Skip Shipman, whether they can stay out of foul trouble and keep their players rested enough to compete against the strong Wildcat ball club inside.
North Carolina State won 3rd place. Incidentally defeating Providence 74-69. Here are going to be the lineups now for UNCC. 49ers have won 24 and lost 5. That's the most victories ever in the history of the school. Lou Massey, number 23, a 6'6" sophomore from Pineville, North Carolina, and Charlotte, South Mecklenburg. Number 25, Kevin King, a freshman, 6'6" from Lakewood, New Jersey, averaging 12 points a game. At center will be the sensation of this tournament and leading candidate for MVP, Cedric Maxwell, 6'8" junior from Kinston, North Carolina, and the fans are watching in his hometown today over WRAL TV. The guards will be Bob Ball, 6'1" senior from Tucker, Georgia, all-time assist champion for UNCC, and Melvin Watkins, 6'4" junior from Reedsville, North Carolina, averaging 9 points a game. He also has been a hero's road here. Coached by Lee Rose. In his first year with Mike Pratt and Everett Bass, there's Everett, one of the all-time great players for Lee at Pennsylvania. Lee Rose, he belongs to the same church with Joe Hall, the Kentucky coach in Lexington, Crestwood Christian Church. Now for the University of Kentucky, making their 3rd appearance in the NIT Finals. They've won 1, they were runner-up once, they finished 3rd once. In the Southeastern Conference, looking for their 21st victory, Jack Gibbons, a great sophomore star, averaging 20-point game, 20.5, 6'4" from Lexington. James Lee, 6'5", a sophomore from Lexington, number 32. The center will be Mike Phillips, number 55. The 6'10" sophomore, 235 pounds from Akron, Ohio. One of the problems for UNCC will be battling the physical strength of UK. Larry Johnson, number 12 at one guard, 6'2", a junior from Morganfield, Kentucky. The other guard is Truman Clater, 6'1" freshman from Toledo, number 22, coached by Joe Hall. Wildcats have won 19 and lost 10. And we'll be back with the opening tip-off of today's NIT Championship in just a moment. America the Beautiful, led by Robert Merrill, famous Metropolitan star. There's Jim Green. That was Jim Green in the foreground. Austin MacArthur taking the ball across court. The two officials from the ECAC. Here are the 49ers on the verge of history here. Coming into the national tournament for the first time ever. The Cinderella team now is poised against one of the great names of all time, University of Kentucky, for the NIT championship. Kentucky in the white. This is the first game UNCC has not worn white. Here's the tip, controlled by Kentucky. Grabbed in by court by Larry Johnson. This is a running ball club. There goes Gibbons immediately. Jack Gibbons sends Kentucky out in the lead by a score of 2-0. Man-for-man defense by Kentucky. It's Bob Ball working it down for UNCC. Inside to Massey, and a personal foul is called against Gibbons. Gibbons trying to cut in front of Massey. First foul of the ball game. UNCC will have a possession play here, trailing 2-0. Question of how well Massey can maneuver with a bad ankle. Maxwell clearing outside. UNCC will try to control the tempo. That's their main hope here against a strong running ball club. They like to work it inside to Massey. Here's Massey inside. Lou Massey ties it up.
You know, Jim, despite that strong shooting half that Lou Massey had in the other night against NC State, against the zone defense, he said he prefers to play against man-for-man. So
here's a zone outside. Johnson up onside by Phillips. There's a whistle on the play. Personal foul is going to be on Maxwell. That's going to be one of the keys of the game right there. How well can UNC battle against the powerful Wildcats? Not that they're that tall. They're so big. Mike Phillips here weighs 235 pounds, and he's lost 20 pounds. He was 255 last year. Gets two shots. He had to fill in at center when Rick Roby was injured. That was 16 games ago, and Kentucky's had its best stretch of the year. Rebound down by Maxwell. So Kentucky leads by 1, 3-2, and UNCC now comes down with a chance to lead for the first time. Ball looking inside. Boy, he's really being hawked by Gibbons. Or Clater, rather. Truman Clater. This is Clater coming out on ball. Very quick defensive player. Ball driving. Kevin King gets free with a good fake. UNCC leads for the first time in the ball game at 4-3. Zone defense for UNCC. It's not what they prefer, but they just have tough time matching up Kentucky. Rebound is down by Kevin King. The 49ers now already ringing cheers. Here goes Maxwell in, and a foul on the play, but there'll be no basket. The foul is on Maxwell for charging. Number 2 on him. There it was. Phillips had him blocked out. That's a very key early play in the ball game. We're in the first minute and a half, minute 40 seconds. 4-3, UNCC by 1. Watch out for Gibbons. He may have walked. He did. Traveling by Gibbons. Basket will not count, and UNCC will get the ball. Kentucky was 9-10 at one stage this year, or 10-10, and they're now 19-10, so they've won 9 in a row. Outside, Maxwell. 3-point lead now by the 49ers. Cedric Maxwell, the front line now with a basket each. Massey, King, and Maxwell. Long one up by Gibbons. Rebound tipped outside, will go out of bounds to Kentucky. It's amazing postseason record by this school. Since 1942, no Kentucky class has been out of a postseason tournament. Inside Phillips. Mike Phillips' third point. Kentucky cuts the lead back to 1. Now inside is Maxwell again, and the rebound is pulled down by Watkins, and he's tied up. First time Melvin's had his hands on the ball.
Just checking the records here, Jim. That basket by Maxwell ties Ron Lee's record of 87 points in last year's NIT, and Lee, you may remember, won the MVP award in this tournament last year.
Going for the loose ball is Lou Massey. Oh, no, it was Kevin King. 6-5, UNCC leading by a point. Kentucky wants a fast-moving tempo, running and shooting. UNCC would like to slow it down, keep the game in the 60s or 70s. Tip back to Kentucky, and it'll be grabbed here by James Lee. Very physical forward. Now to Larry Johnson, who scored the winning basket the other day against Providence. It's out of bounds off Phillips' fingers. It'll be UNCC's ball, and listen to those fans. Boy, they're here really fired up for UNC Charlotte, leading by a point here over Kentucky, 6-5. Inside, Maxwell is free, and he puts it up again. Well, I guess that one moves him ahead then, Bob. 4 points for Cedric Maxwell.
That's right, Jim. He's got a chance to be one of 9 players to go over 100 points in this tournament.
Larry Johnson cuts the margin back to 1 again. 8-7, UNCC on top. We've now played about 3.5 minutes. And it's been nip and tuck thus far. Melvin Watkins. Far side, Bobby Ball with his first shot. Rebound is off to Kentucky. Givens feeding down. Givens driving. Tipped up inside a couple of times, and now Watkins has it for UNCC.
I think Melvin Watkins may be the most underrated player that UNCC has had in this tournament. He's played some superb basketball.
Maxwell is fouled. Personal foul against Kentucky. You're going to see it's going to be on Reggie Warford. Watch him, number 15. Right there, across the arms of Cedric Maxwell as he tried to twist up through a lot of traffic. First foul against Warford. Cedric was not shooting. It was foul before he started up, so UNCC will put it in play here. That was the second team foul against Kentucky. 1 point lead by UNCC in the first 4 minutes exactly gone by. And Maxwell was wide open. The bounce pass a little bit too low. Turnover to Kentucky. Down is Phillips on the way up. Rebound is off by Watkins. Watkins knocked his own man, Bob Ball, off his feet. UNCC 8-7. Doing a good job in the zone thus far. Pass almost got away from Maxwell. Kentucky's a very aggressive defensive team. Out posted low, Maxwell. Maxwell inside. Tried to get the pass back outside to Massey, who saves it, but Kentucky intercepts. Coming down is Warford. Under to Givens. Basket won't count as traveling. Saw the motion by Jim Green. And UNCC will get the ball, and there's timeout on the court with a score. UNCC 8 and Kentucky 7. University of Kentucky around Joe B. Hall, who was given a very difficult task of succeeding a legend. Adolph Rupp at Kentucky, now in his 4th year. He's won 154 and lost 92. That's his whole career. Kentucky's won 78 and lost 36. There he is with Leonard Hamilton and Dick Parsons, his coaching staff. Had some rough years after Adolph Rupp resigned. You can imagine how that's like. Sort of like Bartow. Gene Bartow is experiencing at UCLA right now. Now UNCC back to work against the man-for-man. Watkins open. Tipped up once. Now inside. Maxwell has got it. Will not go. Rebound will be run down by UNCC's Kevin King. 49ers did a good job on their offensive boards in that flurry, leading by 1 point, 8-7. Inside, Kevin King driving off the post. And there's a foul against Kentucky.
This looks very...
There's a guilty man, Warford.
Looks very similar to the San Francisco game in that respect, Jim, and UNCC was able to control their own board very early in the ball game, and that eventually led to the difference.
Kevin King here. Bob's playing back near his home in New Jersey. He led Lakewood, New Jersey to a 28-1 record in the state championship. So he is the prize freshman this year on the UNCC team. 9-7. 3-point lead for the second time over Kentucky. A little over 5 minutes gone by. Wildcats waste little time. Jack Givens. There's UNCC in the zone. Matching up Warford from the corner. Rebound tipped up inside and good by Lee. Boy, what a powerful player he is. James Lee lifts 400 pounds on the squat lift. 10-9. UNCC's lead is 1. We're going inside to Maxwell, and it's stolen away by Lee. The Wildcats are off and running. Fast break is good on the play. Personal foul by Larry Johnson. Kentucky's back in the lead by 1. Second time the lead's changed hands. 11-10, the Wildcats. They're overguarding a lot inside. We'll see if UNCC starts trying to go back door. They're a well-coached team, of course, as you know. Lou Massey firing outside and out. Rebound is hauled in by Johnson. There goes Givens drive. Warford driving, but he also charges. That's 3 personal fouls on Warford, but he gets the basket, opening up Kentucky's biggest lead of the game thus far, 3 points. Right there, Maxwell takes the charge. Cedric's playing with 2 personal fouls. Basket is good, however. Kentucky leads by 3. Number 20 is Dwayne Casey, a freshman from Morganfield, Kentucky. He's replaced Warford. Inside is Kevin King. Rebound Kentucky. There's going to be a pushing foul on Kentucky. That might be on Phillips. First one on Phillips. Now Kentucky has 17 fouls. So we're going to... Well, check that. They say 5 team fouls. Melvin Watkins setting up the play with UNCC now trailing by 3. And Phillips cuts in front of his man. No charge on that play. Down floor, driving layup is good by Casey. Lee rose on his feet with a couple of his players being put on the floor. 15-10, Kentucky has its biggest lead, 5 points. Give and goes off the fingertips of Watkins. Right now, things are not going too well for the UNCC 49ers. They're down by 5 with 13 minutes to go in the first half. Outside Casey, 2 in a row. Dwayne Casey came in to replace Warford, and he's been hot as a pistol. 2 straight shots from backcourt, 17-10, and Kentucky's on quite a stretch. Give and go to ball for a layup, and he missed the layup. Givens on the quick pass. Watkins back on the defense, and Kentucky will have to set it up. UNCC now has had to go to a man-for-man defense. Inside, Phillips pivoting around. Rebound, the foul is against Lee. James Lee picks up the personal foul. That's the first one on Lee. 17-10. Kentucky's in the lead by 7. UNCC will have the ball from backcourt. That's 6 team fouls against Kentucky.
Of course, Jim, anybody that's been following UNCC knows that this is where they've been able to get a lot of points back, especially in the 2 first ball games that they played. They were able to, they've been shooting so well from the free throw line that they've been able to sneak up on ball clubs even when they had big leads.
Larry Johnson just picked up a foul for Kentucky, and we'll have the 1-and-1 now with Melvin Watkins at the free throw line for UNCC. Rebound by Phillips. Phillips inside and is hawked away by Bob Ball. Good collapsing defense by UNCC. UNCC been a little bit of a scoring drought. Aggressive Kentucky defense has cut them off, and there again. They're putting a lot of pressure on, forcing mistakes. Kentucky will get the ball with a 7-point lead, 17-10. 11:45 to go in the first half. Now steal by Maxwell at the other end. Cedric Maxwell will bring it down. Maxwell driving. 6 points for Maxwell. He can handle the ball like a guard. 17-12, you saw the score. 11:25 to go first half. Now Givens is looking in. They're trying to front Phillips on the inside now. Lee, inside Phillips firing up over Maxwell. Now it's put up by Givens, and there's a whistle on the play. Fouls on Kevin King. Well, Maxwell has played beautifully throughout this tournament. There you saw him stealing the ball. Now watch him. He doesn't need much of a daylight. Now he saw his opening. Quite a player. Unless there's quite a reversal in this game, he's going to be the most valuable player in the NIT. Kentucky's ball out of bounds. If not a shooting foul, draws some boos from the Kentucky fans. Phillips takes it inside, fires, rebound is down by Kevin King. UNCC on the move, now trailing by 5. Here goes Maxwell again. UNCC fighting back on Cedric Cornbread Maxwell's play. 17-14 with 10:50 remaining, first half. Dwayne up again, Dwayne Casey. He's 3 for 3 from the outside, 19-14. Kentucky in the lead. Maxwell from outside, whistle, personal foul on Phillips. Phillips fouls his second one, and there's timeout on the court. The score, Kentucky 19, UNCC 14. Lee Rose of West Irvin, Kentucky, in his first year at UNCC after a brilliant career at Transylvania's alma mater. He's here, has been all week with his lovely wife Eleanor and their fine sons Mike and Mark. Very much, of course, involved here emotionally against the University of Kentucky, back from their hometown.
I don't know if Mrs. Rose is wearing that shoe she got today, but somebody sent Eleanor Rose a glass slipper just before she came over to Madison Square Garden.
I hope it fits. 19-14, Kentucky in the lead, but Cedric Maxwell, who set the all-time NIT free throw record here this week, is up for 2 shots. Oh, every time he connects, it's a new record. That's 40 free throws he's hit in 44 tries. His first one today. Pride of Kinston. It's going to be more of the pride of Kinston after this tournament. Now a little zone press by UNCC on Kentucky. First time they've gone to it. 3-point lead. Here's driving is Lee. Rebound down by UNCC. And a foul in backcourt on Lee. Well, Lee Rose probably said you missed his big one and gave him the little one. That's 2 fouls on Lee. Watch this. Rose looked was charging right there on Maxwell. Now, after the rebound is grabbed by Massey, Lee reaches over the shoulder. Personal foul, his second one. 1-1 now to Lou Massey.
Replacing Mike Phillips.
Massey's he's been over 20 points in every game in the NIT. 25 against San Francisco, 20 Oregon, 22 against North Carolina State. And he's had a great year as a sophomore. He set the all-time record for 1 year this year. Needs 4 points for 1,000, and there it is. The 1,000th point in his career for Massey, and he's just a sophomore. 19-18. UNCC's pull within 1 with 10:20 to go first half. There's Casey again. Rebound down by Maxwell. What a great tournament he's had. One of the greatest in the storied history of this event. There goes Massey, and he walks, traveling by Massey. Joe B. Hall having a word now with his playmaker Larry Johnson, who had quite a clutch basket to beat Providence in the last 2 seconds. 19-18 the score. Kentucky's lead is 1 point. Man-for-man defense now for UNCC. They opened the zone. They were getting beat badly. And a quick hands of Cedric Maxwell.
Jim, I think it's been obvious in the last few minutes that Cedric has really taken over the chore of floor leader down there in the absence of Skip Shipman, who usually handles that job.
One thing he has to be careful of, they're zoning now off the inbounds play. Let's see what Kentucky can do about recognition. Still in the zone for UNCC. Larry Johnson's recognized it. They're setting up a zone pattern now. They're looking inside. They've got James Lee on the inside. Phillips is set down. Still haven't seen Roby. Casey, Haskins is in the lineup. Rebound is grabbed by Lou Massey. Off the miss by Johnson, and UNCC has a chance to recapture the lead, trailing by 1 point, 9 minutes and 10 seconds to go first half. Ball is tied up by Dwayne Casey. Fans didn't like it. There's the story. 9:07 to go. 1 point lead Kentucky. Kentucky won the NIT in 1946 with a fabulous 5 lineup. Rosa, Jones, Beard, Basketball historians will never forget that troop. They also won the NCAA. Here's Lee. Roll out. James Lee. 21-18. Kentucky back to a 3-point lead. UNCC handicapped on its depth here today with the injury of Skip Shipman, who didn't even dress out for the game. Inside, Massey is free and goaltending against Kentucky. James Lee. Massey gets his 6th point. Watch it. Right there. Definitely going down, but how that Lee can get up. He's only 6'5". 21-20.
No question that Lou Massey will be the all-time scorer before he finishes his career at UNCC.
Jack Givens. Givens had a nifty fake. Drew a foul from Watkins. Number 1 on Melvin. 4 team fouls we have. So just be an inbounds play for Kentucky. Jack Givens going to be one of the all-time greats at Kentucky, too. He's just a sophomore, and he's now averaging over 20 points a game.
Well, what a start he had against Providence in the semifinal game, Jim.
Well, you have 18 points the first half.
20 of the first 30.
Lee has it batted away, so Kentucky will have to put it back in play. Kentucky holding a slim lead of 1 point right here with just over 8 minutes to go in the first half. And here's Givens. That's the touch he has. Mr. Basketball in Kentucky in his high school days for Lexington stayed around to play in his hometown. 23-20. UNCC trailing by 3. Just the tempo they like. There's the lob inside to Maxwell, and it's broken up by Lee. Now here's Casey down 4, gets a whistle, and there is a charging foul against Kentucky. The foul was on Marion Haskins away from the ball. Very alert play. I think it was by Melvin Watkins.
Those are the kind of little things that he's been doing through the entire tournament, Jim, that have kept UNCC in the ball game when they really needed a big play.
23-20. Watkins pushing inside. That might be against Massey. And it is. Red Massey. Right in your center of your picture is Red Holtzman of the New York Knicks.
That's Massey's second personal foul. Sherman has 5 team fouls. 5.
Eddie Donovan there. He used to be up around St. Bonaventure. 23-20. 3-point lead by Kentucky. Al Johnson. Rebound inside is by King for UNCC. 49ers again will try to cut it to 1. 7:15 to go first half. Kevin King, that's his favorite spot. And it's batted out of bounds by Watkins. Kentucky will still have it. Phillips will return to the lineup for Kentucky. Number 55 has 2 personal fouls. Comes in replacing Haskins. So Phillips will go back into the pivot, and Lee will go back to forward. Outside is a foul on Watkins. Just fouled the dribbler, Johnson, number 2 on Melvin Watkins. 7 minutes to go in the first half. UNCC down by 3. Phillips inside him. Had an easy layup. He could have held it. And a big steal for UNCC. Turnover gives them another chance to cut down to 1. Got Massey on the high post and Maxwell on the low post. And they're flashing Massey in and out. Ball gets the open spot. Bob Ball trims it to 1 once more. 6.5 minutes remaining in the first half for the NIT championship. Be the first national title ever for a Charlotte team. Here's James Lee off the mark. Rebound is off UNCC, and there's timeout on the court with the score. Kentucky 23, UNCC 22.
Attention, please.
Time remaining in the first half. On the upper corner of your screen, 6:22, is Joe Hall, who likes to be called Joe B. Hall. Almost didn't stay around at Kentucky. Was on the coach with Adolph Rupp. And Rupp, of course, not wanting to retire, decided he would go on from year to year. Hall went to St. Louis. Then Rupp was forced into retirement. They brought Joe back. Had a couple of rough years, and then he had the great year, of course, last year with Gravy, Connor, Flynn, and Guyette. Went to the national finals in the NCAA and lost in a great game to UCLA and John Wooden's swan song. Kentucky's ball here. They're leading by 1. Phillips has to come outside. Now UNCC sticks to a man for man. Inside Phillips, fakes on Maxwell, and walks. Traveling by Phillips. But Maxwell has a lot of pressure on him, trying to play the big fellow with 2 personal fouls here in the first half. 23-22. There's a chance for UNCC to go on top with 6:10 remaining in the first half. Kentucky shooting a little zone. Kentucky now in a 1-3-1 zone. Went inside, it was deflected. James Lee checked by ball. So Kentucky's fast break's been held down over the last 5 or 6 minutes. They like to get off a shot quickly, of course. And here's Phillips inside, working free. They're going to go to Phillips inside, working against Maxwell. 25-22. That may be the key to this ball game. How well Cedric can hang in against the ponderous center. And there's Cedric at the other end. Maxwell, 12 points in the half. 25-24. Back quickly for Kentucky. Gibbons looking, and they're falling back inside. Dwayne Casey outside. There's Phillips, the big fellow. Mike Phillips. It's only his 7th point, but he takes up a lot of room inside, and he's causing a lot of problems for UNCC. 27-24. Under Maxwell, wide open, foul. Personal fouls on Gibbons. Beautiful play work that time against the zone. They forced Kentucky in its zone defense to play man-for-man principles. They went for a man-for-man offense. Now Don Pierce has checked in. There's Maxwell with that unique little motion of his. Have a practice dribble and then a practice free throw stroke. He's captured the hearts of New York with that this week, plus his performance. There's a rarity in the NIT this year. Maxwell seems to get the biggest kick out of his misses. Missed only 5, and he's hit 41. Well, 41 out of 46. Ain't bad, as they say. 27-25. Needing some tough defense right now. Zone defense for UNCC. Trying to surround Phillips on the inside, force some outside shooting. There's Phillips. Men all around him. Phillips goes in there and draws the whistle. Fouls on Pierce, I believe. They're really surrounding Phil right there. 3 guys around him. Pierce behind him commits the foul. First one on Pierce. He's then giving Kevin King a rest, and he's also spelling Maxwell, guarding Phillips on the inside. This guy was twice Ohio Player of the Year, and he broke all of the records set by Jerry Lucas, so you know type high school player he was. Back to a 3-point lead for Kentucky. 4:35 to go in the first half. Massey. Back to Massey. Inside to Pierce. Pierce fakes but walks. Little head fake there, and he shoveled his feet. A turnover to Kentucky with 4:22 remaining. First half, Wildcats lead 28-25. The biggest lead was 7 points. Since then, UNCC's made it a tight game. Now Gibbons is flashed into the post. Here's Phillips. And a 3-second violation. Phillips caught in there too long, so the UNCC defense comes through. Back down, trying to get within 1 with 4 minutes to go in the half. And this has been quite a struggle here. Looking for the good shot. Good move by Maxwell inside. And put up inside by UNCC. Lou Massey. 8 points for Massey. Back to the 1-point lead for Kentucky with 3:35 to go, first half. Zone again by the 49ers. Now Gibbons. Ooh, into the crowd goes Massey. Massey had such a bad sprained ankle, or injured ankle, that he was unable to practice either day here for UNCC. Didn't really test his ankle until this game, but he told the press conference here on Friday that he would play no matter. 28-27 Kentucky. Larry Johnson outside. That's the type of shooting Kentucky's probably going to have to come up with against the UNCC zone. 3-point lead with the Wildcats. 49ers now. They're trying to cut it to 1 with about 3 minutes to go. Near Maxwell saved the possession. There's a foul. Maxwell is fouled again, this time by Givens. Now Givens has 3 personal fouls, and Kentucky's getting in a little bit of trouble. Number 3 on Givens, a leading scorer for Kentucky. And Cedric Maxwell is back giving it the old salute at the free throw line. So James Lee returns, replacing Givens. He doesn't have Givens' shooting touch, but he's stronger. 1-1 for Maxwell, so an important free throw with his team down by 3. Cedric was all District 3 this year in the NCAA. Here's Kevin King back in. They're going to give Lou Massey a rest. Well, Massey will rest his ankle. He's not showing any ill effects from the ankle today. Back to 1. 30-29.
That's 100 points for Cedric Maxwell in this tournament now, Jim.
No question in my mind, Bob, he's going to be the MVP, regardless of the outcome. Oh, battle inside by Lee. What a tip in. Tough break for UNCC. They had pretty good block out that time. Lee just made a great play. Back to the 3-point lead. 2.5 minutes to go in the first half. A seesaw affair since UNCC trimmed down Kentucky's big lead of 7 points. Right now at 3. 49ers have been back within 1 about 7 or 8 times. Maxwell comes outside. Ball. 2 straight. Bob Ball doesn't take that many shots, but he's got great touch when he needs it. 32-31. 2:05 to go first half, so hang on to your hats. Looks like a full afternoon here between these two. Long one is up by Johnson. Rebound will be cleared by Marion Haskins for Kentucky. Wildcats getting a lot of offensive rebounds. Haskins looking for Phillips. They're really surrounding Phillips. There he is. Phillips inside. What a move. Mike Phillips, 10 points. 34-31. That's the toughest assignment for UNCC, staying up with big Mike Phillips. .125 to go, first half. It's the pace that UNCC wants right here. They can work for a basket. They'll be back within 1. A little over a minute to go in the half. Bob Ball right there is 2 for 2. So if he gets the shot, he can take it. They leave Watkins. They get the Watkins open shot. Beautiful work by UNCC. 34-33. We'll want to welcome the other stations aboard today. WGHP in High Point, WRAL in Raleigh. Out of bounds, it'll go to UNCC. Well, the fans watching today in Greenville, Raleigh, watch it again. Right there, the pass got past, and here was the speed of Maxwell. Banked the play. Here, down floor is a shot by Maxwell and a personal foul against Kentucky. Fouls on Phillips, the 3rd. Number 3 on Phillips. Another big play by Cedric Maxwell. So statewide today in the Old North State, fans are following a new star, the UNCC 49ers. Phillips will have to come out. That could relieve the UNCC defense. We'll see if they go back to man for man, which is more to their style. Cedric Maxwell at the line has 15 points. Another sparkling performance here by the slender junior from Kinston. Amazing. That ties the score. 34 all. There's Cedric. He says that little practice stroke gets him in the rhythm. He hits this, UNCC will lead, and listen to the roar. .39 seconds to go in the first half. Kentucky may wait for one shot. They're trailing by a point. Givens is out of the ball game right now. Phillips is out of the ball game. 25 seconds. Looks like that's what Kentucky like to do. They'll take an open shot. Content to take one shot here, either trail by one or lead by one at the half. 15 seconds. 10 seconds. Johnson off balance. Rebound and a whistle. There is a foul on the play against Kentucky. Bob Fowler committed the foul. Watch him right there, crashing the boards. UNCC had a perfect cup on the blockout. The fans are going wild now in that UNCC section right behind the Kentucky basket. A lot of green here today. We're seeing about as much green here today as we did St. Patrick's Day. Bonus shot for Pierce. Boy, this guy personifies the relaxed attitude of this team. Don Pierce of Greensboro. 3-point lead for the 49ers, 37-34. 3 seconds to go. Johnson driving shot. And the basket is not good. It is not good. Basket was tipped after the buzzer. Joe Hall's going to protest, but Jim Green called the play. Right there's the discussion. You watch it. There's the shot off. Watch the light. All right, very close call, but it's ruled no good. UNCC will hold its 3-point lead. Hall is still arguing. Now he's gone to Austin MacArthur, but that's one argument I'm afraid Joe's going to lose. So that's the end of the first half and a rousing final. The score, UNC Charlotte 37, University of Kentucky 34. Back at Madison Square Garden and New York City, the championship of the 39th annual National Invitational Tournament, long one of the nation's outstanding postseason events, and UNC Charlotte bidding to become one of those once-in-a-lifetime teams to take a dream all the way, leading Kentucky of the Southeastern Conference at halftime, 37-34. And I'm telling you, everyone is very excited back in North Carolina, especially around Charlotte. And one of the gentlemen who's very much interested is here now. A very distinguished guest is on the floor with Bob Taylor.
My halftime guest is Governor Jim Holthauser, and Governor, this is quite a scene here. It's pretty hard to describe to somebody unless they're here.
I tell you, it's been an exciting first half, and you know we got a bunch of people up here from North Carolina, and we got a lot more who aren't from North Carolina who are pulling for us too.
That's right. Well, this team has certainly been adopted by the New York crowd, and I'd like to ask you what this means to the city of Charlotte. I don't think Charlotte's ever had a team that's quite captured the imagination of the state. There've been great basketball around the state, but the city of Charlotte has never had any basketball team to call their own, really. Davidson just 20 miles down the road. But what does this mean for the city itself?
Well, of course, it's great publicity to start with for North Carolina and for Charlotte. I think most of all, though, this team has really caught the hearts of a lot of people here in New York City. Maybe because they were unexpected, perhaps. Partly because Maxwell is such a colorful ball player, and a lot of people have fallen in love with him. And they played great. This first half they had a lot of heart. They were down 7 and came back and took the lead just in the last couple of minutes.
Well, this team's had an identity struggle all year long. They came into a state they've been in a state that's heavily ACC, and the 4 great ACC schools that are in North Carolina. But do you feel like there's room for another great basketball team in the state?
Well, you know me. I'm the biggest basketball fan around. There's plenty of room for all the basketball around it that anybody can play. And I guess North Carolina's got to be the greatest basketball state in the country. And we had, I think, 5 teams in postseason games this year. And of course, UNC at Charlotte's gone the furthest of any of them.
Well, that's true. And it's the 4th game they played in this tournament. They're up by 3 here at the half. They seem to be a team of destiny. They had a game that was put into overtime. Kevin King with a last-second shot put the game into overtime against San Francisco, and then NC State gets 3 shots off at the basket at the end of the game the last time. And then, of course, we had a disputed call here at the end of this half.
Well, that's true, and I'm sure that Joe Hall had a few words to say with the referees about that. But, you know, the thing that has to impress you, Kentucky's tried everything. They tried to press. They tried a tough man-to-man. They tried a 1-3-1 zone. It was very aggressive, but they still haven't been able to shut off the Charlotte offense. And Maxwell has not only put Mike Phillips on the bench with 3 fouls, but he's got Jack Gibbons on the bench with 3 fouls. And he's got a bunch of other personals on some others. They've tried to close it off to keep him from getting the ball, but every time he's gotten it, somebody has fouled him just about.
Well, Governor, they hold a 3-point lead here, and hopefully in the next 20 minutes, UNCC can carry the weight of the state and bring a victory back to North Carolina.
We're counting on it.
Thank you, Governor. Jim?
All right, Bob, and thank you very much, and also thank Governor James Holshouser. Made a special trip to New York today, and he's in the cheering section for UNCC. 49ers are going to return home this evening on a 7 p.m. flight out of New York City, an Eastern flight that will arrive back in Charlotte sometime after 8 p.m. tonight at Douglas Airport. And I'm sure for the viewers in Charlotte that plans are being made there for a welcome home. Right now, UNCC's out in front by 3 points at halftime over Kentucky. The 49ers have been the underdog in every game they've played here in this NIT. They're underdog by 1.5 points today, according to the odds makers. They're up again, 37-34, being led by the incredible Cedric Maxwell from Kinston, who scored 17 points and now 102 points in this tournament. We'll talk more about him and the individual scoring, and we'll be back with more of our halftime activities in just a moment after we pause for station identification. Madison Square Garden in New York, halftime of the NIT Championship. UNC Charlotte 37, University of Kentucky 34. First meeting ever, of course, for these two teams. First time in the NIT for UNCC, and Kentucky's 3rd trip to the NIT Finals. The Wildcats won 1, runner-up once. UNCC now has made its place in the sun in college basketball, and they're trying to really put the Caps on a remarkable drive here for a national title. And through the first half, they've more than held their own. This year, of course, is the string of 4 consecutive great seasons for UNCC. They have a 3-year average of 22-4. Not many teams have been able to equal that in Division I of the NCAA over the years, and they've been able to upgrade their program a great deal. Had their toughest schedule ever this year. They've played 25 Division I teams thus far, 25 of the 29, for a 24-5 slate. Next season, UNCC will be moving into the Charlotte Invitational Tournament, playing along with Davidson in that event that's been a fixture in Charlotte for a number of years. In the NCAA this year, the 49ers ranked 2nd in rebound margin, 4th in scoring margin. There were 23 among the offensive teams, 27th among the defense. So statistically, the team has held its own. Its one problem was an identity crisis, and now that problem has been solved. Here in the NIT, they've reached the championship game. And Cedric Maxwell now established himself as one of the great individual stars in the college circles today. He scored 102 points thus far in 3.5 games. He becomes only the 2nd player in the last 8 years to score over 100 points in this tournament. The last was Tiki Burden of Utah in 1974. The previous one to that was back in 1968 when Don May, an All-American from Dayton, scored 106 in 4 games. So Maxwell certainly will pass up that mark and might even reach Burden's 118 before this one's over. He's also set the all-time free throw mark for the NIT, now hitting 46 out of 51 for the tournament. In the individual scoring in the first half for UNCC, Maxwell, of course, is high with 17 points. Lou Massey scored 8 points, 4 each for Kevin King, Bob Ball, and 2 apiece. There's the announcement, incidentally, on the public address for Cedric Maxwell with 17 points. And for Kentucky, their top scorer is Mike Phillips with 10 points, but he has 3 personal fouls. 4 apiece for Jack Givens, James Lee, and Larry Johnson. And 3 for Dwayne Casey, or 6 rather for Dwayne Casey, and 2 for Reggie Warford. Now the teams have returned to court. There's the UNCC 49ers holding a 3-point lead at halftime. Coming back on the floor after their halftime meeting with Lee Rose. And in just a moment, Kentucky will be coming back, so the teams will be moving back on the floor here at Madison Square Garden, and we'll be back for the second half tip-off after this message. Back at Madison Square Garden, we're just a few seconds away from the start of the second half. UNC Charlotte out of front of Kentucky, 37-34. After coming from behind twice in the second half. There's another look at the scoring. Cedric Maxwell with 17 points. Now has scored 102 points in the tournament thus far. And right now is the leading candidate for the Most Valuable Player award. A lot of great names engraved on that trophy. There's the Kentucky slate, Mike Phillips with 10 points. Phillips a little bit of foul trouble with 3 personal fouls. Jack Givens has held to 4 points in the first half and committed 3 fouls. We had a very controversial play that ended the first half. If you were with us then, we'll take another look at it right here. Kentucky was trying to get off a shot with just seconds remaining, and here was a tip inside. Watch the light. Watch the light to the right there. Now the ball seems to be off his fingertips and the light comes in. Honestly, we get the advantage of the replay. And I'm sure the officials could have seen that. They might have had a different thought of whether that basket counted or not. The point is they disallowed it. And it did not count. And if this comes down to the wires, a close game, that could be a very big play. And there's Joe Hall in the center of the Kentucky huddle. He protested the call, but to no avail. So UNCC is on top by 3, 37-34 as we start the second half. Against North Carolina State, the 49ers led by 7 at the half. And incidentally, the Wolfpack won 3rd place today, defeating Providence 74-79. Over the history, only 4 other times in history have teams from the same state won 1st and 3rd place. The last time was 1965. St. John's won the title, and Army, coached by Tate Lock, took 3rd. Now the second half we go. Mike Phillips, number 55, will start for Kentucky against Maxwell for the center jump, and the tip is controlled by UNCC. They're going to hear Massey driving down. Massey fires off balance. Rebound inside by Maxwell, and here's a whistle. There's a foul under the basket. Maxwell had it, and he was fouled on the play.
Jim, during the halftime, Coach Lee Rose drew some diagrams of some plays he wanted his team to use. They're going to try and pack things in tight on defense and let Givens and Johnson do the shooting for Kentucky in the second half.
Larry Johnson tried to psych out the official scorer down there. He kept holding his hand up, but the foul was on Jack Givens right there, the leading scorer for Kentucky. That's his 4th foul. Johnson was trying to do some quick thinking. Joe Hall's coming down. You don't see him now. You're watching Givens. So there's Hall on the left of your screen. He's protesting again. He's had a bad day with Jim Green here, who made the call on the halftime shot. But his star player, Jack Givens, for Kentucky, is on the bench with 4. UNCC's got the ball. Second half is on, and there's an open spot for King. 5-point lead by the 49ers, the biggest lead of the game. Kentucky back quickly. James Lee outside. Comes back to Lee. Down to Phillips. Phillips on the inside and battling under the boards. It'll go out to Kentucky.
You know, Jim, UNCC took a lead to the dressing room in every single game that they've played here in the NIT, and that was something they weren't able to do when they were playing big ball games earlier in the year.
Well, they won the other 3. Now here's the big one, of course. Inside is Phillips, and a whistle on the play, and he walked. Nope, he was fouled. I'm sorry. Fouled by Bob Ball, who was collapsing back. UNCC's really had to rig the defenses against Phillips. Big fella looms is such a threat inside that 49ers have had to collapse all day. They held Phillips to 10 points in the first half when he picked up 3 fouls. 2 shots to Phillips. First point for Kentucky in the second half. 39-35. Rebound by Maxwell. Backdoor, here's the backdoor cut to Massey. He draws the foul, and I believe it's on Lee. Nope. It is on Phillips, rather. Mike Phillips. Watch it. This is 4 fouls on Phillips. Has put UNCC now in a very favorable position. Great drive on the back door by Massey. We talked about it earlier. Against Kentucky's pressure, UNCC might go to the back door. There's Phillips. He's out of the game for the moment. So both Phillips and Givens, the 2 big guns for Kentucky, with 3 apiece, and Maxwell going for point number 103. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Massey, of course. Lou Massey gets his 9th point. 40-35. Again, UNCC's on top by 5. We're 1 minute in the second half. Zone defense now by UNCC. They're going to force Kentucky, if they can, to shoot the long shot. Long one is up by Warford. Reggie Warford. 40-37. UNCC. 49ers have done a great job controlling the tempo. That's the thing they had to do. They like to keep the score around the 70s. Figure if they can do that. They're getting the run and shoot game, they're at a disadvantage.
Tempo very similar to the Maryland game they played earlier in the year when they also had problems with that ball club.
Well, there's a near turnover. Good job by Massey to save it. They're spread out now with some inside room, and Maxwell very clever down low. You got to watch him around the basket. Good fake by Massey. And inside, Kevin King has got it. Beautiful drive by Massey. Massey hit the open spot, and Kevin King spotted him. 42-37. UNCC again up by 5, and Joe Hall says, let's halt it right there. So there's timeout on the court. The score, UNCC 42, Kentucky 37. 42-37, UNCC in the lead. That'll be Kentucky's ball here midcourt. They'd call timeout. UNCC thus far has outscored Kentucky 5-3 in the second half. 49ers now gone back to man-for-man defense. Used both zone and man-for-man. Personal foul just been called here on the play resumed by Lou Massey of UNCC, pushing off underneath, a non-shooting foul. Kentucky will put the ball back in play. 5-point lead by the 49ers, 42-37. Nearly lost here now. Haskins. Reggie Warford had to take over. Kentucky's going right now without Givens and Phillips. 2 big guns, each with 4 fouls. Good dribbling by Larry Johnson. Oh, they left James Lee open. Whistle inside. There's a pushing foul. Let's see who this one's on. Maxwell gets his 3rd. Well, you watch Maxwell inside. Little shove off. But a costly foul against Maxwell. We're going to check to see if that was Maxwell or Massey. The public address announced Maxwell. Outside is Larry Johnson. And layup inside on the follow by Bob Fowler. Well, Bob Fowler, of course, and Kentucky had quite a flurry there on the offensive end of the court. They're able to get off about 4 or 5 shots.
PA, the public address, Jim, said that was Maxwell's 2nd foul instead of his 3rd, but I think 3 is correct.
42-39. 3 fouls is correct. However, we've confirmed that. Kentucky in a zone. UNCC might be content here to just keep it spread out. Holding a 3-point lead with a lot of time to go, though. 16 minutes and 45 seconds.
They're not real confident with this offense, Jim. They never practice it, or they haven't practiced it this week, and they used it for the first time in this tournament.
They're trying to get Maxwell in close. A good defensive play by Marion Haskins of Kentucky. 49ers clinging to a 3-point lead. Go deep to Massey. I figure they're going to have to slow the tempo, though. Have a chance against this Kentucky team. Now the Garden fans beginning to boo UNCC for the first time in the tournament. They want some action, of course. And UNCC fans are responding with a great cheer. They like the way things are going with their team on top. Now Massey with a good move. And the rebound is grabbed off by Melvin Watkins. And it's right back to Massey. That was Kevin King. Kevin King heading for his 13th point. Back to a 5-point lead. 44-39. Kentucky led by 7 in the first half. UNCC fought back. Now UNCC leads by 5 with 15 minutes and 40 seconds to go. Outside shot by Warford. He's now hit his last 2. 44-31. 3-point lead again with 15 and a half minutes to go. And now it's becoming a battle of nerves. These two teams fighting for tremendous prestige NIT championship. Bob Ball dumps it inside, and it's intercepted by Kentucky. Great defensive play by Larry Johnson. Now to Warford, who has the hot hand. Almost stolen away by Haskins, and is lost out, but it's touched last by a defender from UNCC. Kentucky will put it in play. 15:09 remaining. Kentucky's gotten a lot of mileage off its bench here with Fowler and Warford coming in doing a good job, along with Dwayne Casey in the first half. So the fouling hasn't hurt him that much thus far. Driving shot by Johnson. UNCC. Watkins is down with Ball. Here's Ball driving shot. Bob Ball, and UNCC's back by 5 again. 46-41. 14:35 remaining. Good rebound by Watkins. Bounce pass is to Maxwell and intercepted by Kentucky. Kentucky, a very dangerous club in a fast tempo. The ball is kicked here by Watkins. That's what brings the whistle. So Kentucky will put it in play on the side. Trailing by 5. UNCC leads 46-41. 14:18 remaining. North Carolina State won 3rd place today, beating Providence 74-69. Very exciting game. Inside James Lee, a little shovel shot, and the rebound is grabbed by Lee. Goes in close again, James Lee. Big play for the Kentucky team. Back to 3 on the margin. UNCC leading. Now Johnson was trying to call another defense, but Ball gets it across the line. Inside Massey. Massey is in there free, and he's fouled. Personal foul is on Lee, who can't believe it. Look at him. James Lee. So it must have been the other man. Number 3 on Lee and fouls. Watch it again. I thought the other man fouled him. There goes Lee up. It seemed to me that Haskins, number 30, got him from behind, but they called it on Lee. Massey on the line. Massey's already become the 4th leading scorer for UNCC today. And he's on 11 points. He got 13. (47-43), 4-point lead with 13:40 remaining. UNC Charlotte on top. Here's a drive outside by Fowler, draws a whistle and a personal foul. That'll be Lou Massey's 3rd. Well, they say 4. Say 4 fouls on Massey, and we have 3. So, but check it out. There's the look at it. Massey committing the foul. So now UNCC beginning to taste some of the bitter tension that Kentucky suffered with their star players in foul trouble. Johnson right back to Warford, who's had a hot hand. Warford's 3 for 3 in this half. 47-45. Now backcourt pressure by the Wildcats. Thus far, UNCC's been able to handle that. Lee comes down to guard Maxwell. Maxwell gets it over. Now, dribbling against Lee is a little bit different situation than dribbling against Sudhop. Maxwell used the other day. Lee's much quicker. 49ers needing a basket here. The lead's down to 2. And it's inside of Maxwell, who draws the foul on Lee, I believe. That'll be 4 on Lee. So now Lee has 4. Givens, Lee, and Phillips, the starting front line for Kentucky, has 4 fouls each. And Joe Hall wants a timeout for Kentucky with 12:50 to go. Timeout on the court. The score, UNCC 47, Kentucky 45. Well, there's the 49er himself.
Robert Bozo Pittman.
And the UNCC pep band had to raise $3,000 to get their bus trip up here to New York City. A 13-hour bus ride to get here, and they've been here leading the cheering noise. There's Cedric Maxwell with that familiar shadow box of his. Little practice stroke at the free throw line. Maxwell gets the pair. Today he is 7 for 8. That's his first point of the second half. He now has 103 for the tournament. This could give UNCC a 4-point lead. 48-45 with 12:45 remaining. Johnson and Warford now the guards for Kentucky. This is not a big Kentucky team right now. It's just a small team on the floor. UNCC can match up a little better. Long one by Warford. That's his first miss this half. Rebound by Maxwell. Biggest man on the floor is James Lee for Kentucky, and he's 6'5". So they've got the big fellow, Phillips, on the sidelines with 4 fouls. It's up to Joe Hall when he returns. A steal the other end, then lost out by Kentucky. Fowler broke it up, but Johnson trying to help out. Couldn't contain it. Lob pass inside to Maxwell, who blocked out by Johnson. Clutch defensive play for Kentucky. Now watch this again. Maxwell looked like he's got a good chance to take it up, and a clean block by Johnson coming behind. Bob Ball will take it deep at the 12-minute mark with a 3-point lead. Here's a foul on Fowler. He was holding Maxwell. Well, they fouled in the wrong guy, but of course not in the bonus yet. That's 5 team fouls, 2 more. There's the lob pass. Maxwell open. Five-point lead, equaling the biggest by UNCC. They've got Haskins on the inside now. Kentucky. Outside, Johnson. Larry Johnson. Kentucky forced to go to a smaller lineup with fouling troubles. But their outside shooting's keeping them in the game. UNCC on top by 3. 11:35 remaining. Batted away and stolen by Warford. Kentucky has a chance to cut the lead to 1, and a throwaway at the other end. It'll be UNCC's ball. If he'd been successful in saving that ball, it would have gone to Maxwell, and he'd had an open layup. Lee Rose in the biggest game of his coaching career right here against Kentucky for a national title.
Seems ironic, Jim, that for so long in the UNCC season that he said the first game of the year against Eastern Kentucky was the biggest game.
There's the layup to Massey. Beautiful teamwork by UNCC. Massey on the beautiful feed from Maxwell. 52-47, a 5-point lead again, and Joe Hall is frustrated here by the smooth play of this young team from Charlotte. Now he's just going to, Joe Hall sent his guards deep. He wants to make a change. He wants Bob Fowler to play inside. A powerful fellow, but he's only 6'4". They're going to let a near steal outside by Watkins. Collapsing back, they give him the shot, and the rebound is down by UNCC. Grabbed by Kevin King. 49ers have it now with a 5-point lead, 52-47. 10 minutes and 25 seconds to go. The clock ticks away. Driving shot by Watkins. biggest lead of the game for UNC Charlotte. 7 points. 10 minutes and 12 seconds remaining. The brilliant play continues by this team. Fowler inside with a great fake. Bob Fowler gets free inside. You can see the quickness of Fowler. That's the reason for Hall to make his move. Hall is going to come back with his big players now. He's trailing by 5 with less than 10 minutes to go. And they leave King open. Whistle, personal foul on Kentucky. And back in are Givens and Phillips. Now watch this play here by UNCC. Just a perfect feed from Maxwell to Massey. 2 shots will be awarded to UNCC. And a substitution now. Don Pierce will return. And Lou Massey will come out. Lee Rose has had to juggle his team like a field general today with Skip Shipman out of the picture. Lou Massey certainly not at 100%. And he's gone with 6 players thus far. Kevin King will get 2 shots. What a great shot he made to tie the game at the end of regulation against San Francisco. Hadn't it been for that shot, of course, UNCC would have long since been home. But he made it, and here they are fighting for the championship. And with a 6-point lead, 55-49 with 9:45 to go. Givens is back in there. That's Jack Givens, but now with 4 fouls. And you can see why they're missing him. Great outside shooter. 4-point lead with 9.5 minutes remaining. Now UNCC is going to spread out a little bit. Jeff Gruber giving Bob Ball a respite. Gruber, number 12, now playing at guard with Melvin Watkins. They'll force Kentucky to come out of the zone. UNCC playing smart ball right now. On top by 4. There's Gruber taking the shot. Jeff Gruber got the open shot and took it with 9 minutes to go. UNCC goes up 6.
That may be Gruber's first points in the tournament.
First points in the tournament is right, and they're big ones. Inside, Phillips is fouled by Pierce. Another smart move by Lee Rose. When Phillips returned to the lineup, he came in with Don Pierce. Rather than risk Maxwell getting a 4th foul, Pierce has been assigned to guard Phillips. And, of course, his forte is defense. Into Givens. Look out. Off the mark. Put up inside by Lee. Larry Johnson it was. This 8th point, 57-53. Kentucky hangs tough. 4-point lead with the 49ers.
Johnson said his biggest throw in basketball was that last second basket he had to beat Providence in the semifinal round.
Well, it was some shot. It was do or die. Either makes that one or Kentucky's out of it. Found the open man King. UNCC now is spread out. Maxwell will take the shot. Rebound Kentucky down by Fowler. Wildcats now can cut it down to 2, and they've got Givens. Jack Givens. Down to a 2-point lead now, 57-55. Now the pressure mounts again on the 49ers with 8 minutes to go in the game. Kentucky playing a smart defensive strategy here against the spread offense. They're using a zone, and they're keeping constant pressure on the ball. Trying to get UNCC to lob the ball into a dangerous spot. 2-point lead, 57-55. Ball botted out of bounds. Great play by Givens. They had King breaking. Now there's timeout on the court with a score. UNC Charlotte 57, Kentucky 55. Still a long way to go in this game. 7 minutes and 28 seconds. Going to take a look at the Kentucky play a minute ago. There's Givens. Givens came in with 4 fouls and a great play by Johnson. Johnson made the inbounds pass and stepped right into great position and was there when he was needed. We're back to live action now. UNCC's ball here under the 49er basket. And a foul. Foul is going to be on Johnson.
Foul by Larry
His third.
That's Johnson's second personal foul.
Well, they say second.
1-1 on the line. The shooter is Lou Massey.
Lou Massey for the 1-1. UNCC now is in a must situation almost at the free throw line every time they go up. Wow. Lou seems a cinch to become the all-time scoring champion at UNCC before he departs. A sophomore is already over 1,000 points. 59-55, a little more breathing room. At the other end, though, Gibbons is up quickly for Kentucky, and rebound is off by UNCC. Crawford mistimed, or Fowler mistimed his jump, and a clutch rebound for the 49ers. Gruber's done a good job coming off the bench. Gruber's been forced into action here with Shipman injured. Here's Kevin King, heavily guarded, and the rebound is down to Gibbons.
That's a tough thing, too, Jim, because Gruber hasn't seen much action all year.
Diving shot by Johnson. Larry Johnson cuts the margin back to 2. 59-57. 6:45 remaining. UNCC still attacking, but they got a spread offense going. Maxwell. Here's ball, Gruber. Kentucky staying in the zone with his, there's Massey up with a shot. Rebound is down by Phillips. Now Kentucky's got a chance to tie the score. UNCC's defense now being put to the test. Warford had a hot hand earlier. They like to go inside to the big fella Phillips right here as they set up. They got both Phillips and Crawford playing low, and they got Gibbons here. Good shooter from the outside. There it is. Mike Phillips inside. Rebound is off by UNCC. Grab by Maxwell. Oh, UNCC met the challenge. 59-57, the 49ers lead with 5:45 to go. This is for the NIT championship. Kentucky forced to stay in its zone. Question is, when will they come out to a man for man? UNCC might just hold it here and force Kentucky out. They've stayed in the zone thus far, coming out in the zone to put on pressure. UNCC trying to force them into a mistake to find an open shot. Had a man open there for just a second, King, but he was quickly covered by Gibbons. Gruber will take another one, but he walks. Traveling by Gruber, and a turnover to Kentucky. There's the story. Wildcats will have a chance to pull even with UNCC. UNCC still has all 5 of its times out remaining. 5 minutes and 10 seconds to go. Kentucky can score here. A second time they've had a chance to tie the game. Trailing by 2. UNCC in a zone, a 2-3. Used a variety of defenses. Gibbons faking outside. Well, they want to get the ball to Phillips in the worst way. UNCC trying to collapse on him on the inside. Warford under, beautiful work, and whistle inside. Personal foul. I think it's on King. We're going to watch it again. That was great work by Kentucky. There's Kevin King. Fowler did a good job getting behind the defense. Second personal foul on King. 2 shots to Fowler. He needs them both to tie the score. 4 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. This young man says he idolizes David Thompson, former great star at North Carolina State. Now it's down to a 1-point margin.
Just thinking, Jim, how many times has it happened?
Max will beat this zone press. Max will have to go back out of danger with it. With 4.5 minutes remaining, UNCC with a 1-point lead, 59-58.
How many times has it happened in this tournament when the other team needed a basket? It almost seems like somebody put an imaginary lid on top. I mean, every team that UNCC has played has had their opportunities to score and take leads or tie ball games up, and for some reason the ball just won't drop.
And I guess the biggest example, Bob, was North Carolina State has a chance to win the game. The ball didn't drop. UNCC playing a little cat and mouse game right here with a 1-point lead. We're inside the 4-minute mark now. Joe Hall is up on his feet, giving instructions. You might see Kentucky jump to a man for man. That's what they're doing. There's Hall. Here's Kentucky. They're matching up. They're going to go man for man now, and UNCC much prefers to play. There's the ball away. Loose ball picked up by Kentucky, and Kentucky leads. Reggie Warford. And Kentucky has taken the lead. 60-59. UNCC trails for the first time in the second half. And now the 49ers call for a timeout. So their timeout on the court. The score, Kentucky 60, UNCC 59. The University of Kentucky has come back. And Bob, it appeared there for a moment, and maybe the Madison Square Garden has swung over to Kentucky.
You get the feeling they don't like that stall offense or the delay offense that UNCC has been using. They didn't respond to that at all when they first went into it.
The Garden crowds never liked a slow-down game. Joe Hall sent his team into a man-for-man defense. They immediately forced a turnover. Ball seemed to hit off the knee of Melvin Watkins on the dribble. And Reggie Warford scooped it up, scored the basket that sent Kentucky in the lead for the first time since midway in the first half. And Kentucky now has reverted to its zone. They'll force the 49ers, if they can, to shoot on the outside. And there's Watkins. Big basket. Melvin Watkins. UNCC back on top by 1. 61-60. 3 minutes to go. UNCC now in a man-for-man. 49ers matching up. Keeping an eye on Big Mike Phillips inside. There it is into Phillips. Phillips fires up inside, and it is off to UNCC. Tipped by Kevin King. Bob Ball has it. 49ers have got the ball with a 1-point lead at 2 minutes and 35 seconds remaining. Joe Hall sending his team to Bob Ball driving. Massey inside, fires, and it's back outside to, Melvin Watkins. Ooh, a big offensive rebound with the 49ers. 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Bob Ball driving shot, and he charges. Charging foul by Ball. The ball will go to Kentucky. Right there. Ball making an unfortunate decision at the moment. 2:11 remaining and a 1-point lead for UNCC, and a Kentucky player took that charge. Was shaken up. It looks like Larry Johnson. Right there, Larry Johnson. Great defensive player he is for Kentucky. Just made what could be the biggest play of the game for the Wildcats. Kentucky, of course, has won 4 national championships plus an NIT. So they have a rich basketball heritage. UNCC just coming up the ranks. And now broken out on top here in the NIT, and right now have to fight to hold a 1-point lead with 2 minutes and 5 seconds to go. Larry Johnson, another in. Johnson puts Kentucky back in the lead by 1, 62-61. Lou Massey's been the high scorer here in the second half for UNCC. Cedric Maxwell's held to 3 points in this half thus far. He's inside right now, but credit that to the fact Kentucky's been in the zone, been collapsing around Maxwell. UNCC needs a score here to get back on top. Otherwise, they'll give up the ball. And there it is to Maxwell. Cedric Maxwell works free, and UNCC's back on top with 1:24 to go. 63-62. They want to clear up some moisture now up the floor. So we come down to cardiac movements again. Lee Rose on his feet with his assistants, Mike Pratt on your right and Everett Bass on your left. Right here is the Garden fans, the UNCC adherents in particular, are chanting defense. 1 minute and 15 seconds to go. UNCC by 1. They want to go inside to Mike Phillips. Larry Johnson, who scored big baskets throughout. Now a long one outside, and it's hit. Warford Warford has 10 points in the second half. 64-63. And Cedric Maxwell picks up his 4th personal foul on the play. That's the 7th, 8th team foul. And it's going to be a 1-and-1. Possible 4-point play for Kentucky. And it could be one of the biggest plays of the game. 1:06 to go. UNCC wants timeout. Now we'll be back for the final minute 6 in a moment. There's timeout on the court. The score, Kentucky 64, UNCC 63. A gentleman, the director of athletics at Kentucky, and one of their greatest players in history. In his years at Kentucky, they won 86 games and lost only 5, won the NCAA championship, and had an undefeated team. He set 12 Southeastern Conference records. I'll tell you, he looks as young as the day he did. He came out of Owensboro Senior High School. Well, the pressure now is mounting on UNCC. They led by as much as 7 points here in the second half, and now Kentucky's on top by 1. And UNCC has called a second timeout. A strategy here is to try and make Phillips just a little bit more tense, because he has a 1-and-1 coming that could be very critical in this ball game. He hits them both. Kentucky would have a 3-point lead, and by the time UNCC gets down, there'd be less than a minute to go. So Lee Rose spending one of his 3 remaining times out right here to let Mike Phillips think about matters as we've come now to the crucial moment of this NIT championship. UNCC cheerleaders been here all week having a great time in New York, and of course caught up in the excitement of this team. They said yesterday they had no idea what it must be like back in Charlotte. They've been here throughout the tournament. While the excitement had reached a fever pitch back in the home city. Said they couldn't imagine it. The team has not gotten that kind of recognition before. But they'll feel it tomorrow. A parade is scheduled downtown Charlotte tomorrow, win or lose, and a reception for the team back home tonight. Here's the Kentucky bench. Kentucky Wildcats. What a great record they have. They lost the NIT here in 1949. They tried to win both championships. Then they reeled off 121 victories and 131. Here's the biggest play of the game, perhaps. Mike Phillips at the line. Oh, he's calm as a cucumber. 2-point lead, Kentucky, and a bonus shot coming. Phillips has a chance to put his team on top by 3. 3-point lead, Kentucky. Now UNCC is down by 3. And they're in a tough situation with 1 minute to go. Kentucky zoning. Maxwell is really covered up inside. Looking for a good shot. Throw it away. Bob Ball saves it back in bounds, but it's to Kentucky. A 10-second line violation. And now the momentum definitely has swung to Kentucky. And Joe Hall calls for a timeout. So Kentucky now is going to... There you saw the ball hit the 10-second line. And no doubt about it. Just an awry pass that came in an unfortunate moment. Here's Kentucky. Now their spirits have gone sky high. Looks like they were beaten. Down by 7 points, and UNCC in command in the ball game. 49ers were still in the lead with a little over 2 minutes to go in this game. But now Kentucky suddenly has fought back, and Lee Rose telling his team what to do. He's going to have to go to pressure defense himself. 46 seconds. Kentucky with the ball and a 3-point lead. And the balance, of course, a national championship. So all of this will come down to the final moments. Only 2 teams have ever gone through the NIT, perfect records, never to lose in another NIT. Maryland did it. That was in 1972, and VPI in 1973. Neither has played in any other NIT. They're the only teams who played in the NIT never to lose in this term one time or another. There's a steal by UNCC and a walking violation. Watkins got it, but he walked. Now the Garden fans are booing. He's a really sophisticated fan. Watch the play again right here. Watkins did a great job stealing, but you have to credit the defense back down there to Larry Johnson. He made the play for Kentucky. Another near, it is a steal. Watkins fires, 2 points. 34 seconds to go. And timeout is called by Kentucky as UNCC's cut it down to 1. Another clutch basket by Melvin Watkins. Boy, what a tournament he's had. Bionic. Maxwell and Massey have gotten all the press here. Well, what a tournament Maxwell is playing. So's Kevin King. And new life now for the 49ers. 34 seconds to go. That was some kind of press they turned on right there. Maxwell battling for the ball. Here's Watkins. Not an easy shot, but just like he did in the victory over North Carolina State when he scored the winning basket, only about 7 seconds from the end of the game, he ripped that one in. This young man from Reidsville, North Carolina, and his hometown fans looking in today, I'm sure, over WGHP and High Point. With 34 seconds to go, put new life into this North Carolina entry. The Kentucky cheerleaders at one end of the floor, up at the other end. UNCC cheerleaders, everybody biting his nails right now. 1-point game. Well, what thrillers we've had in this tournament. UNCC beat San Francisco in overtime, 79-74. They defeated Oregon after a tough struggle, 79-72. They beat North Carolina State by 1 point. State had the ball all over the rim at the end. Kentucky defeated Kansas State by 3 points in the quarterfinals. They beat Providence by 1 point with 1 second to go in the semifinals. Now here we are. Kentucky's got the ball with a 1-point lead. The officials are going to confer. I think what they're asking each other, Jim Green and Austin MacArthur, is this a spot throw-in? If it is, then Johnson's not allowed to run around over there. Cross-court pass comes to Warford. Now the clock starts with 30 seconds to go. 30 seconds, 25 seconds to go. Kentucky freezing with a 1-point lead. And there's a foul. A just foul, Larry Johnson. Fouls on Bob Ball, his third. And Johnson, who's been a leading light for Kentucky in the second half, he scored 8 points. That's second only to Reggie Warford's 10. Is at the line. It's his first trip up there today. 1-1, and Lee Rose is going to let him think about it, too. So Rose calls another timeout. He called 2 to let Mike Phillips build up some pressure, and it had no effect. Phillips just very calmly ripped them both in to put Kentucky into a 3-point lead. Now it's at 1, 66-65. Kentucky hasn't scored since then. The clock right now shows 22 seconds to go. And the score, Kentucky 66, UNCC 65. Remember, the 49ers are flying back to Charlotte tonight by Eastern Airlines, arriving at Douglas Airport in Charlotte shortly after 8 p.m. And a parade in downtown Charlotte scheduled for tomorrow to begin at noon. Right now, these gentlemen right here in the green suits concerned about one thing, and that's trying to catch these men in the white suits from Kentucky with 22 seconds to go. Doesn't sound like a very long time. There's Cliff Hagan again, I believe. Nope. We're getting very close to 3 o'clock, of course, which will be the end of our telecast, barring an overtime. We feel there's a good chance Maxwell's going to be the most valuable player in this tournament. He's the leading scorer of the tournament. The only player to go over 100 points. Had more than his share of rebounds. But all of that of little consequence right now. It's the outcome of the game is the thing. And Kentucky has Larry Johnson at the line for the 1-1. He's up for the first time tonight. Okay, this is it. 22 seconds to go. That gives him a 2-point lead. Now this shot becomes all important. He misses this one, UNCC will have a chance to tie. He makes it, they're down by 3. Kentucky's free throwing. Pressure packed, but they've come through in the clutch. 20 seconds to go. Foul ball, 25-footer. Rebound inside, put up by Kevin King. 13 seconds to go. UNCC calls timeout. They get the clock stopped at 11. Kevin King cuts it down to 1 point, and UNCC now has used its final timeout with 11 seconds to go. Kentucky leads by 1, 68-67. Oh, there's still a chance. Still a light at the end of the tunnel here for UNC Charlotte. Bob Taylor's gone down to courtside in case we have time at the end of the game. It looks very doubtful now. There's Kentucky. They're plotting strategy right now just to get the ball in play. They can almost run out the clock at the other end of the court. Only 11 seconds to go. And UNCC, what they like to do is prevent a throw-in. That would give them the ball with no time elapsed. The next best thing would be to intercept, because they'd be close to their basket, or force a Kentucky turnover or foul. And about the next option is going to be to foul somebody. So they have to pick out somebody to foul. Mike Phillips and Larry Johnson, the last two men foul, have paraded right up the line, and swish, 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 4 in a row. Kentucky's putting Phillips, a big man, at midcourt. They're also leaving James Lee back there. UNCC is going to guard the inbounds man. And here's Larry Johnson in backcourt. He's fouled. Stops the clock with 9 seconds to go. Bob Ball's 4th personal foul. And with 9 seconds remaining, we go again to the Kentucky end of the court. And this time, UNCC has no timeout to call. Larry Johnson, who's made those 2 a moment ago, will go right to work. Lee Rose signaling to his players. Okay, Johnson, 1-1. Could mean the ball game. 9 seconds to go. Put up by Phillips, and a big rebound. Phillips put it in. Kentucky leads by 3, and he's fouled on the play. 7 seconds to go. Personal foul is against Kevin King. That'll be his 3rd, and there's the hero that appeared. Watch Phillips right here. Maxwell. That was the strength of Phillips. He was able to crowd Maxwell underneath and get the rebound and put it in, and he's fouled on the play. And Kentucky now starting a celebration with a 3-point lead and only 7 seconds to go. But you never know. Stranger things have happened. We're going to have to wait till this one's over. Well, what a thrilling finale to the NIT. UNCC's Lee Rose right now drawing the attention of his team to the fact that they are really backed against the wall. 7 seconds remaining. They're down 3. And Kentucky's Mike Phillips will be on the line. That was his first basket of the second half. Well, what a timely shot. A big fellow, 235, who had to sit out much of the game with 4 personal fouls, came in with the most timely shot of the game with 7 seconds remaining to put his team on top by 3. Had UNCC grabbed that rebound, and Maxwell was there, but the carom of the ball didn't go the way of the 49ers this time. They would have had a chance, but now it appears they have no chance. Phillips goes to the line, a chance to put a 4-point lead on the board for his team, and UNCC is going to be caught in the time squeeze. 1 shot to Phillips, 3-point play. All right, UNCC now has very little time, and there's Massey stepped out of bounds on the play. 5 seconds to go. Massey steps out of bounds, and Kentucky will get the ball. Backcourt is Larry Johnson with 1 second. Kentucky wins it. UNCC comes very close, but not enough. It's all over. Kentucky has won it with a comeback in the second half, defeating the 49ers by 4 points. Well, that's the end of the game. The final score, Kentucky 71, UNCC 67. Back at Madison Square Garden, and UNCC's great dream ended 1 game, 1 victory short here in the National Invitational Tournament. They lost to Kentucky in a great, thrilling finale. And there's the championship trophy that's going to go to Kentucky. UNCC's just been announced for the runner-up trophy. Marvelous finish for the 49ers. Cedric Maxwell, an outstanding candidate for the most valuable player award in this tournament. But understandably, the 49ers a little dejected right now. They came so close. They led by as much as 7 points in the second half, but couldn't quite pull it off.
Jeff Gerber.
The UNCC team is being called out. That was Skip Shipman, who didn't even dress today, and he no doubt was missed in the heated play of this game. So the final score was Kentucky winning it by 4. Cedric Maxwell had another great game.
Lou Massey.
Scored 22 points in the final, leading scorer in the tournament. And Lou Massey played on a bad ankle, wound up with 18. So it is 6th loss for UNCC after 24 victories. And that's the story of the 1976 NIT. This is Jim Packer with Bob Taylor. Final score, Kentucky 71, UNCC 67.